Come on, guys.
God damn. Sorry. Can you hear me? I cannot hear you. I think you're muted. There's got a big mute thing next to your phone. That's to unmute.
You want me to unmute? Oh, there we
Oh,
go.
there we go. Yeah,
Awesome. Okay. Right. So it sounds okay. I heard an echo for a moment, but it sounds all right.
I think it's because I have my phone here. And then,
Okay.
so I'm just going to kind of moderate for you. I'll do a quick introduction.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, let me see.
I got three people in the waiting room real quick.
Okay.
Do you have the questions in front of you? Do you feel like you got enough?
I do. I just put them. I just have them on another tab if I want to like flip over to those. So that's fine. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's great. And then, yeah. And then I think I'll, I was trying to figure out how format to pull all the questions together, but I think I might just hit them one at a time or sort of do a little broad overview. And then I'm sure it'll kind of roll from there.
Awesome.
Yeah. Let me see. I've got a bar in front of my my pictures of like you, me. Let me see. I don't want to hit leave meeting. I don't want to hit okay. Okay, there we go.
Are you I'm just gonna record it on this because I'm good to go. But over here.
Is this a later night for you, Jared? Or you usually?
No, I'm usually. This is just a mad scramble for me to get out of here because I gotta get home and put the kids to bed before 7.
Oh my God. Okay.
So
right, we get that done. I talk fast.
But I got a recording on another person's computer, so I can send it out.
Okay. That echo's a killer.
Logging in.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna let Maria and Elaine and Kevin McCabe in.
Okay.
Oh, we got a couple people. There's Chirp. He's right
And
here.
your timing to get out is what? You're saying like a half an hour. You got to bolt, so I'll try to.
As long as you want to go, I'm just gonna take this from the car once I do an intro.
Oh, okay. Great. All right.
All right, guys. We got a couple people in here.
Okay. Connecting to audio.
Leah's here. Great.
Mm-hmm. I've seen Elaine.
Elaine. Yeah, you guys can keep cameras off if you want. Don't have to.
I'd like to see you all though. Hey,
Yes,
I know.
put your cameras on. Sue wants to see you.
If you're presentable, if you're not, don't worry about it. But yeah, no, we're good. Well, just because now I'll put faces and names together, like Elaine. Now I've seen you. Yeah.
Too. Elaine's been coming to us since before Flight Open. She was a personal training client of mine from back at Boston Sports Club. She's been with me for like 12 years.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I think I asked Elaine that, and I think that was something like your response, Elaine. You've been there forever. So it's great.
She's been here longer than most of the trainers.
Perfect.
She could work there at this point. All right. So I'll keep it there for now. And then I'll just kind of add more people if more people come in. All right, guys, thank you for coming.
Great.
Especially thank you to Sue Sue's been incredible already. We've only had a partnership with her for like a month and a half, really. At this
I
point.
know. Newbie.
She's been crushing it. And I was really excited to make a partnership with her because, you know, we have so many people that are always asking nutrition stuff, and we're happy to talk nutrition with you guys. But at the end of the day, that's not, you know, our specialty. And we educate ourselves and we educate our coaches on how to have good conversations with you guys. But the reality is it's always more important to hire out and have a professional. And just from the first time that I got on the phone with Sue, I could tell that we definitely had a similar mindset around nutrition and the approach of nutrition. So I knew that she was going to be a valuable asset for us. But that'll be a short introduction from me. Sue, if you want to take it from there.
Thank you, Jared. Yeah.
Of course.
No, that's great. I appreciate that, and it has been great. I am so impressed with Flight, and I've been to gyms in the past and boot camps and the like, and I don't know, the approach here is amazing, and the one-on-one attention you get from these guys is really tremendous. So I feel like I'm benefiting here, and I'm happy to give back in some ways as far as nutrition goes. But just a little background about me is that I have been a registered dietitian for many years. I won't go into how long. But I think as a teen, I was always interested in sort of diets and nutrition. I'd pick up my mom's magazines and I'm like, oh, look at this new diet, Atkins. Wow, let me try that. I clearly remember following that plan for 6 days and losing 6 pounds, but I could not walk up the stairs in my parents' house, our house. I was like a dish rag. So I kind of learned early on that a lot of diets don't work, and thought, geez, I should maybe go to school and learn more about this, which is what I did. I went to college for nutrition and then did a year's internship program in New York City after that, and then became a registered dietitian, took an exam, and then to maintain that, I have to get a certain number of continuing ed credits every year, so to keep that up. Along the way, I got my sports nutrition certification because I really enjoyed, I'm a runner and enjoy working out, and, hence the gym. And for 22 years, worked at Newton Wellesley at the Center for Weight Loss Surgery. So I did work with folks who were looking to have bariatric surgery. So I worked with a team of surgeons, the social workers, the nurses, and that was a terrific collaboration and a really, sort of great learning moment, as well as, being able to really help folks achieve this, their desire to lose weight, to get healthy. So anyway, fast forward. So here we are. I'm seeing folks privately as my private practice, and there's a lot of issues that come up. Certainly weight management, elevated cholesterol, all of those things. And I did get a number of great questions from people for this Zoom call tonight. And some were about protein, some were about how much fruit can I eat in a day, how much, if I'm not hungry, should I eat before my workouts, and what the story is there. So I was trying to decide how to sort of structure this to check all the boxes, and wasn't sure whether maybe I would just go from sort of the top down. But Maria and Elaine, because you're here, also feel free to throw in questions as we go too. So, happy to address those. I guess what I'll hit first is, just because that question of appetite and eating before workouts came up. Honestly, there are two schools of thoughts about working out and whether you fuel before or not. The one school of thought is, if you work out in a fasted state, you decide you're going to get up, you're going to get to the gym, you're going to take your run, you're going to do whatnot. You will pull more fat out of fat stores to supply that fuel than if you had breakfast, say, in the morning. However, by having a breakfast, by putting fuel in the tank, you may be better able to complete your workout with better energy. So it is actually a pretty individual decision. If somebody came to me and said, hey, Sue, I'm going to go do a 10-mile run this morning, I'm going to say, you better put some fuel in the tank for that, because you're going to bonk like somewhere along that way. That's not going to work for you. If you say, go to Flight and you do your workout in the morning and you feel okay through that, you feel like my energy is good, why do I want to put something in if I'm not really hungry, not feeling it? I think you're okay with doing that. What I would say is you want to for sure get home and recover by getting in a good balance of carbs and protein for recovery and repair. So it's two schools, like I say. If you feel like you can get through your workout in the morning without having had breakfast because it just doesn't sit well with you, that's fine, as long as you have the energy to get through that workout and you're feeling okay. If you find that, man, I just kind of lose steam through that workout, you could probably do something lighter. I think this was maybe to a Michael that, maybe it is just a half a banana or something in the morning, or maybe it's a half of a little protein drink or something, just something to coat your stomach a little bit, give you a little bit of energy to handle that workout. But for sure, that's something that I could also individually talk to the person with the question about too, just to kind of dig in even a little bit more. But hopefully that makes sense, that there's no rule that says you absolutely have to eat before a workout. It's really how your body responds best. That being said, if it's a long cardio workout, you're going to do a spin class for an hour plus, or you're biking, you may want to put a little something in that's going to settle well with you. Let's see. Another question was sort of navigating perimenopause, menopausal symptoms when you're trying to lose weight. And yeah, and this is a tough one. It is absolutely tough. What I would say to that is there seems to be a narrative out there with a lot of docs, OBGYNs, that you have to accept premenopausal, postmenopausal weight gain. I don't know. I kind of push back against that a little bit, and meaning that I don't know that it has to be a natural consequence. For sure, we have fluctuating hormones during perimenopause, menopause that may make things a little more challenging. There is the start of some muscle loss, some muscle mass. And muscle is a lean, active tissue. We like muscle mass. Obviously, that's why you're at the gym. But muscle at rest is going to burn more calories than fat. That's a storage tissue. It just sits there hanging out, waiting to get filled up. So if with aging and perhaps menopausal changes, we're going to lose a little lean muscle, sure. In that case, we may not be burning the same number of calories as we were in the past. So what do we do to make up for that? Getting and doing strength workouts is absolutely number one thing to push back against that sort of age-related muscle loss. And also, as far as the diet goes, it's taking a look at your protein intake. So that brings me to sort of the more broader general topic of protein, which that macronutrient is the sort of the key to, like I say, slowing muscle loss, but helping with weight loss, because when you eat protein foods, as opposed to carbs and fat, protein foods take a little bit more energy for your body to break down. So by incorporating protein foods through the day, it's a way of almost revving your metabolism a little bit. I'm not saying you're going to burn hundreds more calories because you're incorporating proteins, but every little bit is for sure going to help. The other benefit of protein, it helps keep you fuller longer. So there's that, which may also help with, sort of navigating weight. And so again, incorporating or thinking about getting that protein in through the day, it's going to steady our blood sugars, because protein foods, what are we talking? Lean meat, chicken, fish, eggs, dairy protein, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, plant-based proteins, tofu, nuts, edamame. Protein foods are not going to affect our blood sugars. That's going to come from carbohydrates. So I can talk about those in a minute. But because they don't affect blood sugars, they're going to help keep your blood sugar steady through the day. That's our goal. If we can keep our blood sugar steady by incorporating little hits of protein as we go through the day, we're going to feel fuller, we're going to have better energy. That in and of itself may also help offset what we assume could be in, this automatic weight gain during perimenopause, menopause, which again, I don't think has to be the case. You all are getting to the gym, you're doing your strength workouts. awesome. That is like, honestly, one of the better things you can be doing to help manage that potential for weight gain. I will also add that when people want to lose weight, they think cardio frequently. I got to burn calories, I got to run, I got to walk, I got to get on the bike. Honestly, by doing the strength workouts that you're doing, there's a window of 24, 48 hours afterwards where your metabolic rate is higher because it's working hard to recover from that workout. Cardio, you're going to burn calories at the moment, but it's not going to be an extended calorie burn. So by you getting in there, say a Monday, Wednesday, Friday to flight, getting in your strength workout, you're actually bringing your metabolic rate up higher over the course of the week in general. So again, it's really, there's so many other benefits, and I don't think people always recognize that the strength training piece of it can also be a really good add as far as like if you are looking about weight maintenance or weight management. Does that make sense to anybody, or any particular thoughts about that before I scoot along? All right. So I think again the notion that weight gain has to happen around that, not necessarily. The other add I would say is fiber. The more you get into fruits and veggies, it's a good filler that also helps keep you fuller longer. And I would also mention considering even an omega-3 fatty acid, which helps with inflammation, is a good add. If you're not a particularly good fish eater, I would say you could always do fish a couple times a week. If that isn't your thing, thinking about a fish oil supplement makes sense. And then calcium for our women that are perimenopausal, menopausal, because we will experience some bone loss as we get older. So, so contemplating if your diet isn't really great about dairy, if you're not getting 3-4 servings a day, and who does, you may want to be adding in or considering a calcium supplement. So those are sort of the biggies when we're talking about that. Perimenopausal, menopausal weight is, protein for sure, strength training, fiber. You can add an anti-inflammatory along the lines of fish oil, and then also considering a calcium supplement that will help with maintaining bone health as we move along. Let's see, one other question that came up, and stop me if you want to back up on anything. Fruit came up. How many servings of fruit a day? Doesn't it have, I'm just going to flip to look at that question again. Where's it about fruit? How much to have in a day? Doesn't it have sugar? And okay, and how much is too much fruit? Okay, so fruit is falls into the carbohydrate category, but it's a complex carb because it's got some fiber to it. So when we think about the big basket of carbs, on the top, if that's refined carbs, that's the stuff that spikes our blood sugars quickly. Sometimes I refer to those as the C words: cookies, cakes, crackers, chips, candies. All of those tend to sort of be more refined carbs, which can quickly affect our blood sugar, spiking them. What goes up comes down, we get hungrier again. When our blood sugars go up, we're also going to release insulin. That's a fat promoter. Insulin just likes to take those calories, tuck them into fat stores, and keep them away for later. If we skim off the top refined carbs, we dig down into the basket of carbs, we have more complex carbs. So that is fruits, veggies, whole grains, quinoa, brown rice, sweet potatoes, rolled oats, whole grain bread. Those are great. Those give us good energy. It's still our body's first source of fuel. But that's the kind of complex carbs we want to be thinking about. So fruit is in that basket. Fruit does end up with sugar in our system once it's broken down, but it's still got so many other nutrients in it too that you would never want to really cut that out of your diet. It's just how to incorporate it. I guess I would say if we're looking at a balance and what makes sense, I would say 2 to 3 fruit servings in a day. Berries could be one of those servings because they're particularly good powerhouses as far as antioxidants and fiber that come with strawberries, blueberries, blackberries. That will help also keep you fuller longer when you can get some decent fruit in your diet. That being said, there is a difference between, say, whole fruit like an orange versus orange juice. Juice is liquid form. What's going to happen? You're going to spike your blood sugars quickly because there's nothing for your body to break down. It's in a liquid form. Your body loves that. It's like, oh, I can absorb that really quickly. If you have an orange, now you're eating that and your body's like, oh, I got to kind of churn this up and break it down. So you're going to get a slower release of that sugar to your bloodstream. That's great. That's what we want. It's going to give steadier energy. The spikes, again, we're going to try to avoid those. So I'm not a fan of juice, if you will. I mean, I'd rather say have the whole fruit because you're getting more out of that. I think the bottom line with fruit is it's terrific. Tons of, there's fiber, there's antioxidants, there's all that good stuff. I just would say probably in a day, 2-3 servings would be great. And
hey, Sue, just
yeah.
a question. Is that true? Juicing, if you are juicing yourself, or same thing?
Well, you definitely have to be sure if you're juicing that you're still getting the fiber. A lot of times with some juicers, they're going to have you dump all that good fiber out to just have the remaining juice. So there's the challenge. I think if you're juicing a lot of veggies and then a little bit of fruit with it, that's beautiful. That could be really good.
Okay.
What happens though, if people are juicing or if they're saying making a smoothie and then they're telling me, hey, I'm throwing in a banana and then I've got some kiwi and I got frozen strawberries. I'm like, wait. Would you have all of that fruit in one sitting on its own? Probably not. But you dump it in a juicer or a blender and you whip it all up. It's like down the hatch. That ends up being a lot of sugar in one sitting. And going back to the protein for a minute, protein and carbs are kind of buddies. They like to go together because protein with the carbs can help blunt the rise of blood sugars. So for example, if you decided you really want a smoothie, it's a hot summer after, I don't know, whatever, you just like, I want a fruit smoothie. Find a way to toss some protein powder in that, Greek yogurt, but you definitely want to get the protein involved in that so that you don't get a big rush of sugar because you've now taken that fruit and you put it in a liquid form.
Thanks.
Makes sense. Okay, good.
So quick question on that.
Yeah.
In regards to if I wanted to use that energy for a pre-workout, when would be a good timing of that if I wanted to use fruit as like my primary source and I wanted to make sure that I had, blood sugar and energy for my workout? What would be a good timing for that?
I think even a half hour before. So Jared is good because you're getting enough time to sort of process, like, I don't know, for me, when I run, if I'm a runner, going out for a run, like a banana a half hour before is good because it's easy to digest. It's a quick fuel source. You almost don't want, a ton of fiber before workout, but you're saying if you're going to do a smoothie or something, for example, before workout? Well, I know. We stalled a minute here. Okay. Yeah, I would think a half hour before, and I still don't think there would be, no, that's all right. I still don't think there's anything wrong with getting a little bit of protein powder in that as well, just to, you're going to use it up. You're going to get into your workout, and that's your body's first source of fuel. So you're going to churn through it. But again, a little bit of add of protein will still help kind of steady that a little bit if it sits well. And that's the whole, that's the thing. So does that, anything else on that thought, Jared? Yeah. The other piece
that's
too
great.
is for people that are trying to navigate, say you're trying to navigate weight, there's a lot of studies, reports, just recently I saw it again, that if you can get out after a meal, for everybody, our blood sugars normally go up after we eat. It's just the normal part of the process. What we can do to help our body out so we're not pumping out too much insulin is getting out and moving. Or even if you're in your house, if it's a crummy day, you could do wall squats. You could go up and down the stairs to deal with your laundry. You could motor, you can do anything, motoring around the house. But even 5-10 minutes of movement after your meal will help use some of that circulating sugar. It's going to go to your muscles to be expended for energy. So your body gets a little break in a sense. It's like, oh, good. Some of that sugar is getting used. I don't have to pump out as much insulin. And that's a good thing because we don't want to take those calories and store them away. We want to, we want to give our body a little helping hand. So I don't want to make people crazy with it where they put their fork down and have bolt out the door. I got to go take my walk. But anything within that, time frame, half hour, hour afterwards, if you can kind of motor around it for sure, versus plunking on the couch for the rest of the night, for example, will actually give your body a help and a little break on, like I said, pumping out too much insulin. So let me just see, and I want to go quick again, look back at questions. One asked, just are chicken thighs a healthy source of protein, or is there too much fat content? I think chicken thighs are a totally reasonable protein choice right now. Are they higher in fat than chicken breasts? Yes. Can they be, for some people, a lot tastier because they do have a little bit more fat in them? Absolutely. And so I think it's maybe 10 grams of fat per serving for chicken thighs. It's maybe 5 for chicken. So it's not a huge difference. And I think we've all been a little programmed to be fearful of fats from way back times. But remember, fats give us some satiety, some staying power. So I'm not particularly concerned if somebody finds that, 1, chicken thighs is their preference, 2, it's less expensive than chicken breasts or something. And so for sure, those could be a still totally reasonable choice. The protein is going to be the same, chicken breast versus thighs. It's just the fat content that varies a little bit. And again, it kind of comes down to personal preference, but I don't think I don't see that as a bad option at all. Let me see. So chicken thighs, do we need to, that we talked about the sugar content in fruit. And again, I think there's sugar in fruit, but it's, how you use it through the day, how you combine it with proteins. One final thing on that. Again, the protein carbs being buddies. If you're going to have fruit, for example, pairing it with some protein can also make sense. An apple with slices with some peanut butter, or string cheese, or maybe some almonds, or some orange slices that you dip in Greek yogurt. That kind of pairing also is a good combination. Plus, you get a little bit of bang for your buck for your snack choice, if that's what that happens to be. Okay, dialing back to questions. Should I be aware of conscientious about any specific vitamins, minerals, supplements during weight loss? What should I prioritize? Supplements are interesting. I just mentioned fish oil for anti-inflammatory properties, and I think for sure people can benefit from that, particularly if you're not a big seafood eater, because that's really one of our best sources of omega-3s, and that really does help with the inflammation process. So and balancing. Most Americans probably get too much omega-6s from the various fats and processed foods in our diet. So trying to balance a little bit with omega-3s is a good idea. Again, I think that kind of an omega-3/fish oil supplement isn't a bad plan. Whether or not you decide a multivitamin is necessary, it could be. I like to think that we can get everything we need from our diet, but we do know that there's probably some deficiencies in our food supply a little bit. So I don't think either a women's one a day, a men's one a day is going to be a bad ad. There's going to be specific recommendations for vitamins depending on if you're vegetarian. I'm going to say you better get some B12 in there because that's mainly from animal sources. So if you were thinking of having a baby or you're in a pre-pregnancy, I was going to say get some folate, and bump up your calcium. If you're in our other later years, the calcium, like I mentioned before, is going to be a consideration to think about. How much am I getting in my diet? Am I actually getting enough? And maybe I should sort of use, do a little bit of an additional supplement. Vitamin D, I'm a big proponent of, and I think mainly because when we did initial labs on most of our clients or patients in the clinic, I don't know, 85% maybe we're low on vitamin D. We live in the Northeast, people. From November through April, we are not getting the sunlight to absorb into our skin to convert into active vitamin D. So most people fall low or pretty deficient actually in vitamin D, and it's and there's a host of benefits from D. So I would say a 2,000 IUs of it's a small soft gel capsule you can get over the counter anywhere. I do the Costco, the Kirkland brand vitamin D. but that is probably a good add too, and a safe bet. And there have been studies showing the benefits with weight loss as well as many others. So I think vitamin D for sure. You can always ask your primary care if you're concerned about, I don't want to take too much. You can always ask for the lab value of vitamin D. They're not always so keen on ordering it because insurance doesn't always pay, but you can ask, what's my vitamin D status, and then go from there. But I feel like I'm pretty comfortable telling people if you added 2,000 IUs of D in a day, D3, you're going to be pretty safe with that. That was hopefully answers that person's question about supplements. There was a question about calorie cycling or intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting comes up a lot, and there's definitely good evidence that metabolically it can be good for folks because you're shoring up your window of eating time. So when you're not eating for longer stretches, your insulin levels come down, your body can sort of recover, if you will. But it's not for everybody. If somebody came to me and said, hey, I really want to try intermittent fasting, and they don't happen to be big breakfast eaters anyway, they've never really liked it, like, we can try it. I'm not opposed to anybody, if you really want to be trying something, to give it a shot. It may work well for you, it may not. And I've seen both sides of it. So my preference is I like to see people getting up, starting their metabolism, getting the day going with really good hit of protein, which helps set the tone for the day, keeps blood sugar steadier. But again, there's certainly folks that have just never been big breakfast eaters, can do fine all morning, and maybe start at 10, 11, noon perhaps to just do their meals. And in that case, it's absolutely a reasonable option. But you want to also be aware that in that shorter window of eating time, you have to try to still be sure you're covering your bases, getting adequate protein in during that time, enough, sort of balance and nutrients too in that stretch of time. So, and I would also add that for people with blood sugar issues, I have to be cautious about intermittent fasting because it's for various reasons. But I can always, if somebody's more curious about that, I can always individually talk to somebody. But it is again, there's good research behind it. But I would leave it at, it isn't for everybody. But if somebody wants to explore it, they could certainly do that, but maybe with a little guidance. So that's intermittent fasting. Let's see. Oh, we're always told to eat pasta in moderation, which makes me really sad. So she says, are the chickpea protein pastas actually any better for you? Yes. In a lot of ways, you're still getting the benefit of a carb, but you're also getting the protein in from a plant-based pasta. Not that they aren't plant-based, but you're getting more protein because it is chickpea, and there's other ones as well. My only caveat with some of the chickpea pastas like Banza is they really can fall apart pretty quickly. See, I always say undercook them, if anything. And they may not be your favorite thing, but they could always be worth a try. Barilla also puts out a higher protein pasta. It says protein on it. So I think you're getting 10 grams of protein maybe. And that for sure has consistency, more of a normal pasta consistency. But I also I don't think anybody should be completely avoiding pasta. I think it's just one of those things that how much and how often you balance that in a week. But pasta's great. I'm part Italian, part Irish. There's nothing wrong with pasta. But you do have to think about, again, the portion sizes. If you do go to Italy, they don't give you the sizes we have here in America, let's just say. Really? So there's something to be said for that, for having a small amount of the really good stuff. But you could also give the chickpea pastas a try just because they are, again, a higher protein choice, which is always a good add. Let's see, let me see if I hit the others. Is the old adage, don't eat a big meal right before bed, actually meaningful? Are there strategies for eating schedules that promote weight loss? Actually, the adage that honestly works best is breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen, dinner like a pauper. But we don't tend to eat like that in our world. People like get up, often skip breakfast, do a crazy light lunch, or maybe don't even have it, and then come home at night and really plow down a big dinner. Well, your body's kind of like, now what am I going to do with that? You're overfilling the tank, basically, and then you're going to bed. So if we were able to switch to have a bigger breakfast, a decent lunch, and then a lighter dinner, sure, that would be great. And probably is a good way to let your body sort of, not be overworked in the evening, I guess. And you have the day to be using and burning those calories rather than stuffing them in at night and going to bed. So I would say if there was a way to eat, that would be it. But there's also the thought that for folks that have reflux, for example, heartburn, you really don't want to be eating a couple hours before bed because that's just going to aggravate that condition. So, so lighter at night for sure makes sense. It doesn't always work in our normal meal schedules, but if you can do that, it could be beneficial. And the other thing I would add about meal timing is trying to not go too long between meals. I often use the analogy of protein foods as being like logs on the fire. So if you want to keep your metabolism humming through the day, you like a roaring fire, you're going to keep throwing logs on it. Protein is that for us in our day. You can't store protein through the day. So you have to give your body little infusions, if you will. So that helps keep blood sugar steady, keeps your energy going, and hopefully keeps you a little fuller longer. But I think that is the timing of that is every few hours, not really beyond 4 hours. I would say make sure you get that infusion of protein, if you will, because somewhere around 4 hours is when you're going to start to maybe have a little blood sugar drop, and that ghrelin, that hunger hormone, starts to get released. And we all know that feeling, probably being hangry, like, oh my God, if I don't eat something right now, I'm going to harm somebody. So you really want to kind of stay ahead of that and not get to that point. So I always think somewhere around, if I've had lunch at noon, I say to folks, somewhere around 3:30, be thinking about something mid-afternoon. It could be a string cheese. It could be a protein drink. It could be, or a protein bar. It could be yogurt and some fruit, but trying to get a little something in that will hold you over until, dinner and like I say, and not have that drop so that because if you get super hungry, nobody's coming home thinking, well, I'm really hungry. Let me just get out all the stuff to make a salad. And you're not going to do that. You're going to open the cabinets and it's going to be, oh my God, are there chips here or crackers? And again, brings us back to those. It's easy to reach for those refined carbs, but we'd prefer to say have a planned snack, know that you're getting some protein, and that's going to, sort of keep you balanced, a little more balanced.
I have a quick question for you, Sue.
Yeah.
So let's say I play hockey at night and I get home 10, 11 o'clock and I'm starving. Any suggestions on the type of food to eat?
Yeah.
I'm definitely having a meal after hockey. I always just go chicken and rice. It's like Ben's rice. I just throw in the microwave, and I have frozen chicken. I just throw in
Pop those two together.
Yeah, and I just throw those two together.
What time did you eat before practice?
So, I mean, some days it's like I have a late lunch at 3 o'clock. I come to flight, work out, and then I go play hockey. Now the protein bar in between. It's
yeah.
So, and then I come home and I'm like, I'll work out, then hockey. It's I need a full meal, but it's late at night.
Yeah.
Any suggestions on that? Because I know you're not really supposed to go to bed with a full stomach like that, but
yeah. No, so you're saying you have lunch, you'll eat at 3? Did I hear that right?
2, 3 o'clock I'll eat, and then I'll go play. I'll come here to flight, work out, and then I'll go play hockey between 7 and 9 o'clock.
Okay, so maybe between flight and hockey, you're having a protein bar, you're saying?
Protein bar, yeah, protein shake.
That's about it.
That's about it. I don't like playing sports on full stomach. It's just, I just make sure I got something in there.
Yep. So that's your challenge, is that's that in between time. So, all right, so you're having something at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Man, that's 7 hours before you're coming back for a real meal. That's a long stretch. So I'm wondering whether you could do I would love to see, we were talking about smoothies or something before where you're getting like you'd be a good person to have like a good smoothie, but with a good add of protein powder that might carry you through. I don't know how that would sit in your stomach, like, but if you had it,
I'm open to trying. It's
I
worth it. I'm
know.
always looking for something. I
Yeah.
hate eating at night, having a full meal, and I go to bed and I'm like, I can't fall
I
asleep.
know.
My stomach is
Well,
way
you're
too
for
full.
sure gonna you're still gonna need something when you get home at 10, mainly for recovery and repair,
Right.
because you did flight, you did hockey, you've you've used your muscles up, and now they're like, hey, I need a little bit of help here for recovery. So, how do you sleep when you've had those meals? Do you still like sleep okay? Nothing
Yeah,
would
I
be.
usually sleep fine. It takes me a little bit to fall asleep, but I'll get between 6 and 8 hours. I
Yeah.
work from home daily, so I luck out. I don't have to roll
Right.
out of bed until I have to be on the computer. So those days,
Right.
I roll out of bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I'm on the computer. So it's like
Right.
the sleep cycle in, but
That's good. No, that's good. Well, I'm still thinking like, you for sure want, it's carbs, protein for recovery. So the rice with the chicken actually is a pretty good option and feels pretty, benign isn't the right word, but you know what I mean? It's not like a ton of fiber. It's nothing that's going to like kind of upset your stomach at that hour. So I guess you could still do something like that. But I actually feel like, man, you need more fuel before you go like to recover from flight, but
Right.
before you get out on the ice too and do that.
yeah,
So
I eat a big breakfast.
okay.
I'll have like 5 or 6 eggs. I'm crazy. I'll have like 5 or 6 eggs. I'll have like 2 or 3. We do homemade sourdough, so I have like 2 pieces of homemade sourdough.
Okay.
So I'm full past
Yeah.
noon, 1 o'clock, and then I have a
Right.
big lunch, and then it's like, okay, I'm gonna burn all of this off between 5 and
Right.
9 o'clock.
I know. What time are you having your breakfast too?
8:30, between 8 and 9.
So you're loading up at 8. You're getting
8,
eggs,
9, and I
sourdough.
eat between 12 and 2.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 8, 9, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. And that's the other, you could also even do like, I'm just thinking like even at noon, do a protein bar or something. So then you do your lunch at 2 or 3. So you're getting another little hit that might also help. But then for sure, if you can, I know, and I guess that's what I'm thinking, something that's easy to put in between the two. And you don't go home, right? Between flight. So how you could do like a little
I'll try the smoothie and I'll let you know how it goes. It's worth a shot.
Yeah. No, and we can play around with that a little bit too, if depending on how that feels and it settles well. But but the whole key will be like, how are you feeling? How's your energy? And then when you get home, like sort of what's the fallout? Like, do you feel a little bit more satisfied so that you can do a little bit something lighter and go to bed? But it also sounds like sleep isn't interrupted. You're doing well with that, which is great. And I'm sure you're staying hydrated. I don't need to ask about that, right?
No, I'm drinking a lot of water.
All right. That's a key.
It's actually seltzer water, but it's good enough.
Well, if you don't get plain water in, that's actually an interesting topic, because do you do plain or mostly seltzer?
Mostly seltzer. I'll do plain every once in a while throughout the day.
Okay, and this applies to everybody else too. It's like there still is a calcium phosphorus balance. You don't actually want, like, particularly for young girls, like for anybody's bone health, honestly. But I'm just to say, young girls don't tend to drink much milk, and the bones are still developing. But if you're getting too much, and you're not doing soda, but it's still phosphorus carbonation, there is a calcium phosphorus balance. So just to be aware of, you don't want to overdo so much with the seltzer. You may want to think about how to incorporate some plain water also, and or whether, if you're working out beyond an hour and you're really sweating, like maybe one of those is an electrolyte drink too, right? Which maybe you do incorporate too. But water's a great fluid replacer for your first hour of working out. Once you get past an hour, and particularly if conditions are humid or you're sweating a lot, you do want to think about adding an electrolyte packet or something to.
I do like an element or whatever.
An element, yeah, that's great.
I'll do an element. It depends on the day, but it's a lot of seltzer water I drink. I like the bubbles; it keeps me full. I
know. Just something to think. I like I say, it's kind of a little bit of a bone health issue, but if you can, it's not cutting it out by any means. But if you can moderate it a little bit, maybe try to up water a little bit, particularly if you're adding the element or something, you know, that flavors it. And so maybe you're doing a little less bubbles and a little more water, but I can follow up on that with you.
Awesome. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, you know, you're welcome. You're welcome. Let me just see. Was there anything else I was missing? Approach to perimenopause. We did that. Sugar, fruit, how to eat, the timing, supplements, and what are the factors are important to consider when the goal is weight loss through a combination of fat and muscle loss, not just fat loss? How can one use nutrition to atrophy responsibly? That's interesting. That's interesting. As you're losing weight, for sure, we want adequate protein through your diet. If you're not getting adequate protein, your body is going to pull it from lean muscle. That's not our goal. We want to maintain lean muscle. So I think it's adequate protein, but it also doesn't mean because protein is good, necessarily more is better. I had one fellow who was 20 pounds overweight. He was working out an hour and a half in the morning, strength training, but he was pounding protein bars and drinks and eating all this, you know, way too much protein at one time. And so once we dialed it back, he was losing weight, he was becoming leaner. So there is a balance that has to be hit. So enough protein that you're helping with recovery repair, you're doing the things that I've talked about, steadying blood sugars, keeping fuller longer, helping your metabolism, but not overdoing it. Because beyond about 35, 40 grams at a time, it's almost as if with protein, it's like putting gas in a filled tank. It's going to spill out and get stored. So it doesn't make sense to, you know, load up, oh, I'm getting 50 grams or 60 grams of protein in this protein drink. Your body's like, great, I'm not using that all. So you do want to look at, that's why you have to spread protein and get it in increments through the day. Because sometimes people are like, oh, I'm having a giant steak at dinner, I'm getting my protein. Doesn't work that way. You got to kind of get it in as you go through the day. So to that person, I would say from fat loss, but maintaining lean muscle, you're doing all the right things. If you're doing your strength training, you're supporting your workout by getting protein through the day, not too much at a time, but kind of getting that balance in over the course of the day. And that's usually I do a calculation based on somebody's weight, what their protein goals are, that kind of thing. So so that's going to vary for everybody. But okay, what time is it? So 7. Are there any other specific questions? Elaine, you've been quiet, but taking it all in.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, the one question I have is that, say for instance, somebody like me, so I work out at Flight 5 days a week, 6 days a week. Being older, are my nutritional needs, they're not the same as somebody like Jared.
Well, nobody's is probably quite like Jared.
Or,
but
you know, somebody like,
said,
you know, the guys who are, or the women who are lifting weights and stuff. I don't do that. I mean, I work hard, but I don't do that kind of thing.
Yes. Everybody's basal metabolic rate is different. That's the rate of calories you burn at rest, just respirations, metabolism. And that's going to be a function of your weight, also your muscle mass. So again, the more lean muscle you have on, the higher your metabolic rate. So that's the same thing. There's a formula for that, a calculation. I have a scale that sort of checks that. And sometimes people have home scales now that will give their BMR, basal metabolic rate. So, so I think it's a matter of still matching up. And if you have been solid, maintaining a good, consistent weight, I think you must be doing you must have the right balance, right? And unless there were any other specific conditions, if some people are trying to recover from a surgery, I'd say like, oh, you need a little bit more, need a little bit more protein to help with the healing process, or whatever the case may be. There are certain situations where you'd want to think about that. But if you're really doing a good job at sort of balancing, but as long as you're feeling gains from your workouts, meaning you're supporting your workouts through diet, great. And I imagine when you come home from your workout, that's when I would say make sure that you're getting in your protein after your workout too, within that half hour time frame, because that's when your muscles are most receptive, right? You've just done this workout to kind of create micro tears. For those to heal, that's how you build strength, but you want to get that hit of protein on board to help with that recovery and that repair process. So usually for everybody, if you're going to do a good workout there at flight, you're going to come home, you know, you're going to try to get that protein in at some point within that time afterwards. But yeah, but I think other than that, and again, thinking about calcium at this point too is, you know, something to consider. And I do think a multi is probably not, you know, not a bad ad just to cover, because it'll give you a little magnesium rather than sort of separately supplementing things. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, because unfortunately our food supply is probably a little deficient in different things. We've got, you know, I don't know, it's a whole nother issue. It's a whole nother topic, but yes. Yes, you're welcome. I think we kind of I hit a little bit on protein, carbs, trying to keep an eye on refined carbs, leaning towards complex carbs for sure. It gives you good fiber, it helps fill you up, and fruits, veggies, all of that, the whole grains, because that's still good energy. I didn't mean to leave out fats, but healthy fats, avocado, olive oil, you know, the fats you get from nuts and salmon, terrific to ads. I wouldn't be afraid of those healthy fats. Saturated fats is a different story, but I don't want to go down that road yet. But anyway, but healthy fats for sure. Yeah, it's really a balance. And again, there's conditions that might require a little bit more tweaking, depending on things like you're talking about, like particular workouts and timing in the day. That's something to talk more about. But other than that, yeah, and staying hydrated. That was the other piece. Yeah, stay hydrated. Because you can put all this good stuff in your system, and if you don't have the water to help kind of flush it through and keep your organs going, then it's, you know, that's one of the biggest things. And my final analogy, and we'll wrap, is that if you have a plant in your house, you've been away for a week, you didn't have anybody water it, you come back and the thing is all wilty and droopy, you're like, oh my gosh, I killed it. If you water it though, and you walk past it in a couple hours, it's like, oh, it's back to life. This is so great. But this can be us. Sometimes in the course of the day, we're feeling tired, wilty, headachy, and we think we need caffeine or sugar or something to lift us up, when in fact, we should just be watering ourselves. Yeah. Start with that first. But anyway, well, it was definitely good to see you folks. Hopefully, the people with the questions will see the video, and then I look forward to doing this again. And, you know, hopefully we can, you know, answer more questions, or as things come up, I'm happy to do this. Like I say, another round of this.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Good. No, you're welcome. Good. And I'm assuming Jarrett, the host, will log us out, or I guess we can all just sort of jump off too at some point. So hopefully I'll see you around the gym. I know I'll see you, Elaine.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Take care.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.